All right, we'll go ahead and get started so we can be respectful of everybody's time. Welcome again to the September Cyber Monthly Luncheon for the Pflugerville Chamber of Commerce. This is sponsored by the Pflugerville Community Development Corporation. My name is Chantel Mays, and I'm the CEO of the Pflugerville Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much for being with us all today. Education has always been and will always remain a top priority for the Chamber. So we are honored to bring you our program today on the state of education, and we are grateful that Dr. Killian had time to share with us today. Our webinar today wouldn't be possible without our sponsor, so I'd like to introduce PCDC's Executive Director, Amy Madison, to say a few words before we begin the program. For those of you who may not know Amy joined Pflugerville Community Development Corporation in January of 2014 and was appointed Director in February of 16. She is an OU EDI graduate, a Certified Economic Development Professional, a Certified Economic Development Finance Professional, and a Certified Public Manager. Amy, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Chantel. It's an honor to be here sponsoring the state of the education and being with all of you today. Today, I just want to briefly tell you how much we appreciate education in our community and all the efforts that are going on. And I wanted to just give you a real brief update on some recent happenings with PCDC. Next slide. So first of all, we've completed the Pflugerville CARES grant. 37 applicants were approved, and of that, our total funding, $1.125 million, went into those three tiers. We had 37 applicants, and 59% are women and or minority-owned businesses. So we really did a really good job of reaching out, I think, to all aspects of the community. Next slide. The next slide is all about Amazon. The Pflugerville Community Development Corporation received word on Friday that we have received the Community Economic Development Award for the state for the population of 50,000 to 100,000. We're very excited about this, and the reason I'm showing this slide is because I was on site there yesterday filming an acceptance speech, and I can tell you it doesn't look anything like that. It's much improved, and it's growing like gangbusters. So we're excited about the award on behalf of our city. We are accepting it, and we're looking forward to them opening August 2021. Next slide. We welcome Cowboys Fit Pflugerville recently as well. That's a Jerry Jones deal, and you know how about them Cowboys. They're investing dollars in our community. As a result, we negotiated some discounts for our community, and we're providing a marketing grant to make sure they're using Pflugerville when they say Cowboys Fit. We tried to get them to say PFIT, and they just wouldn't go there. Next slide. We welcome Curative Inc. This is a new company just recently. They're hiring 150 people in our community right now. We'll hire over 300 in the end. They are processing samples daily. It's a very painless sampling process that was going on recently in Pflugerville in the field. The National Guard was handling it, but coming soon are the kiosks that they're going to be putting around not only the Austin area, but all over the state in order to have safe, fast, and quick response. About a 24-hour response time on these tests. Next slide. And finally, just to save the date, y'all, we're working with the Pflugerville Chamber, and we've invited Baylor Scott and White to come and do a program for us. And our topic is Health and Wellness, the new economic development tool. I promise you, this topic was selected prior to us knowing we were going to have a pandemic. So it's even more pertinent today than it was then when we thought about it. So we will have more information out, but this is a Chamber PCDC sponsored event, and we're looking forward to doing that in the near future. Next slide. And that's what I have for a wrap up. Thanks again for letting us be here today and sponsor this event.
Thank you so much, Amy and PCDC. Now, if this is your first event with us, I do want to make sure that you know about our networking event that we hold at the end of each month. Our morning edition, it's a great way to connect with other businesses. Even though it's held like virtually right now, we do a great job of connecting you all together. Everyone gets to know each other. It really is a true networking event. So our next one will be September 25th at 9 a.m. It is free for chamber members. It is not open to non-members. So if you want to talk to us about membership, reach out to us. And you can register for that on our website. So now moving on to our program. You know, at the Chamber, we recognize that an educated workforce is the foundation of a successful economy and community. And with the current pandemic that we're living through, our educational system is taking center stage. Even if you don't have school-age children, you recognize the value of education and the challenges that our education system is facing right now. We are honored today to have Dr. Doug Killian with us to give us an update on the state of education for PFISD. Dr. Killian officially became Pflugerville ISD's superintendent in 2017. He brought more than 13 years of experience to PFISD, serving the last 7 years with the neighboring Hutto ISD. He believes strongly in servant leadership and has dedicated time to the Rotary Club, Lions Club, Education Foundations, and several other organizations and boards. In 2014, the Greater Austin Chamber of Commerce named him Superintendent of the Year, and in 2015, he was named Region 13's Superintendent of the Year. Dr. Killian received his doctorate in educational administration from Texas A&M University, his master's degree in educational administration from Texas A&M International University, and his bachelor's degree in political science and history from Southwest Texas State University, which we know now as Texas State University. He is married to Lori, and she is a registered nurse, and together they have 3 boys. Dr. Killian, thank you again for being with us here today.
Chantel, thank you so much for inviting me. It's always great to be here with the folks from the Chamber. Also, thank you again, Amy, for sponsoring. You're such a great partner for the school district as well. So, well, if I don't mess this up, Tamara, my communications person, wanted me to show you something that's a little bit different in the first year of a school day. As many of you know, we've been virtual for the first 3 weeks of our school year. However, yesterday was our first actual day in school with some in person. We had about 3,700 kids that took us up on doing that. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen here and show you a little video about what that looked like. We want to make sure that y'all are seeing exactly what's going on in our schools and the procedures we have. So let me try this real quick and show this video. Chantel, can you see that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning. Welcome to the great start to the school year. Welcome back.
Welcome back. You got a helper today. Hi.
Thank you for letting me share that. And I've got a presentation here. It was a little bit different than what we normally expect, but obviously we've got a lot of safety procedures in effect right now, and I don't think I can talk about the state of the district without talking about COVID-19 and what we're doing there. So let me share my screen again here, and I've got a few slides for you. If I can get that thing up here. All right, well, I had it up. Let me try that again. All right. How is that for everybody? Let me optimize that screen. Does that look all right, Chantel?
Yes, that looks good, Dr. Killian.
All right, thank you very much for that. So wanted to just go through a number of things that are going on in the district. We're going to talk bonds. We're going to talk a little bit about the district, COVID-19, our return to learn, and a few other things that are going on in the district as well. So we'll start off with a little bit about us. I know that many of you know that our district has about 26,000 students in it. A little note on that, last year we grew at 3%. That was a little bit faster than we've been growing in the past. The year before that we grew at 1%. So we ended the year just a little bit over 26,000 students. So, and we are projected to be in the next 20 years at about 40,000. That's about the size of Round Rock ISD right now. So interesting fact that's going on with our current situation, we're actually low on our projected enrollment. We have a projected enrollment of about 26,500 by October, which is our snapshot date. That's the date we measure all across the state of Texas where districts are in terms of size. We're not there. We've lost a little bit of enrollment, and in talking to other superintendents and other districts around the state, it seems to be pre-K and kindergarten where the largest numbers have not shown up. And we're believing that a lot of folks are keeping their kids home, potentially homeschooling, maybe delaying coming back. And so we're monitoring that as we go. We also had another charter school join us in the Pflugerville area. IDEA opened another one just outside the district in Round Rock. And we heard from both Round Rock and our fellow staff that may have impacted us as well. So we're a little bit below our projections this year. That also happened 2 years ago, and we made up that ground last year and actually zoomed ahead of where we figured we would be at the last bond meeting that we had, bond group we did. So for those of you who aren't familiar with this school district, we have about 56 languages spoken in the district, and with that, the three largest groups of languages that we have are English, Spanish, and Vietnamese, and so our population in Spanish and Vietnamese are so large that we actually offer bilingual programs, which is quite unique, having a Vietnamese bilingual program in the district. And then just for picturing things in terms of where the district is at, I like to say that the center of the district is actually SH 130. A lot of people think that, you know, the city of Pflugerville or potentially I-35 is a center, but that's actually not the case for us. We have lots and lots of land to the east of our district, east of 130, that's open for development. And obviously contact Amy if you want to build businesses out there, because we'd love to see you out there. So next, to just real quickly talk about what's been going on with COVID-19 and all the plans around that. So all of us remember back in around spring break for us, we got the surprise when some of the Houston and Dallas districts that were on spring break earlier in March, 1 week before us, started delaying their returns, and actually were not returning. They basically called some additional days off. And so as we broke on that Friday for spring break, we actually didn't get much rest that spring break. That Friday afternoon, we were on calls with the Texas Education Agency all through the weekend and through the rest of the week, getting the situation about what's going on with the pandemic and what were our options coming back. And pretty quickly, several districts around the area, along with us, decided that we didn't need to come back immediately, and the agency had us start working on trying to launch a online or virtual school to start off with. And as we progressed, we really, at that point, were being told by TEA and the state that we'd probably be back in a couple weeks and all. And we progressed through April, having to stand up 100% virtual educational system that we really weren't prepared for, quite frankly. And it was quite a struggle changing the direction that we had in the district. So then we ended up in sometime at the end of April, first part of May, being told that we weren't going to be allowed to open up for the rest of the school year. So that jumped us into trying to figure out what we were going to do about graduation ceremonies. We wanted to recognize our graduates, obviously, and there were a lot of unknowns. And so I think we had probably about 8 or 9 different plans at one point about how we were going to do graduation. Some of you may have heard from other districts they were doing virtual. Some of them were delaying all the way to August, thinking everything was going to be potentially better then to have an in-person. And we had a lot of options from virtual, and we heard from our parents they really wanted to have some type of ceremony, even if we limited the guests. And so that's what we ended up doing when the county allowed us to go ahead and have our graduations out on the field. It was quite remarkable to see all the graduates in mass, spaced out 6 feet, and very sparse stands for the graduation, but we were able to get it done. So then in June, interestingly enough, we still didn't know, we were being told that we were going to be able to return to school in August. Obviously, safety equipment and things like that would have to be in place. And we started a return to learn task force. We convened that in June, early June as a matter of fact, and started looking at basically contingency plans, because what we were being told was things could change at the drop of a hat. So we had everything from virtual learning to some kind of asynchronous or synchronous, which means either fully online live or delayed. And then some kind of a hybrid model was being touted as, oh, we could reduce the number of kids that actually returned. And we went forward with all those plans. Then, as many of you know, we had the surge that we had around July, and a little bit of a surge around Memorial Day. And sometime in there, the agency came back to us, the Texas Education Agency, and said, okay, well, you can delay for 3 weeks and you can do virtual for 3 weeks. And so that's what we decided to do. And then shortly after that, they adjusted it to 4 weeks maximum, and then a 4-week transition plan that we could do as well. And so we elected to do our 4-week transition plan, which kind of got us to today. And just to highlight what's been going on in the district, we've had roughly 25 different decisions from TEA, the state, the county, UIL, that we've had to pivot on since we first closed, and things continue to change pretty much weekly as we get updated information. You know, the guidance that we have on our webpage, while it's quite extensive, it's even more extensive at the TEA webpage. So please expect even more as we go through this school year, because that seems to be what our folks at the cabinet level and actually at the district level, we've learned to pivot constantly. And that's, I guess that's with a lot of our businesses in town have had to deal with those same kind of struggles. So next, just talk really briefly about our return to learn and what's going on there. The first thing I'd really like to repeat, and I can't repeat this enough because we've got parents that are very nervous about bringing their kids to school. And every time there's talk about in-person instruction, we get a flurry of emails asking us not to go in person, that they want to keep their kids virtual. First thing I'd like to just share to our community is you can stay virtual all year long. The commitment from the agency has been that way, and we are committed to providing that as an option all year long as well. And in fact, right now, the majority of our students are virtual. Our campus and our teachers will continue to work on schedules for both synchronous and asynchronous learning opportunities in the classroom. Again, that word synchronous, big word, but really all it means is live instruction, and then asynchronous means potentially recorded or other types of instruction that's not absolutely live. To get us ready for the virtual learning, obviously we continue to use Google Classroom, and then at the lower grade Seesaw, it's a little bit easier for kids to navigate at the pre-K through first grade level. And we did purchase Canvas Learning, and in the rush that everybody did to try to find some online platforms and learning management systems that meet the agency's attendance requirements and some other things for funding, we got out there and grabbed Canvas really soon. But again, it wasn't soon enough, as the agency was also looking for one that would be able to be provided for some of the smaller mid-sized school districts. And so while we got it ready to go for us internally, it really wasn't ready to go for staff members. So we kept with Google, and what we will do over the course of this semester is transition little bits of our learning management system, our Google Classrooms and Seesaw, into Canvas overall for management of that system. Our libraries are open for services. So if you do have a virtual learner, we do have digital resources for you there. And we'd love to help you out with there. And then also just with our teachers and our case managers for folks with dyslexia, homebound, our special ed services, we are trying to meet those needs as best we can in a virtual environment. And we also have that in-person opportunity as well. Some other information about what we've been doing in terms of on campus. So we have to transition over the next couple weeks into a in-person instruction option. So we've decided to follow the Austin Health Authority's guidance, and they put out some extensive documentation on what we should do to start. And even though we're in stage 3 right now in the Travis County area, we've decided to stick with the stage 4 requirements of starting at just 25% maximum. And this is a combination of things. One, we really need to learn and make sure that we're really good at our safety procedures. And we don't want to do what's happened in some of the other states where everything was just opened up and you saw some of the pictures of kids crowded in the hallways and the social distancing not being able to be maintained and all the other things that go along with that of just opening up the doors. And so we had a 25% maximum target for each of our campuses. I can report to you that we're below that at this point. Lots of our campuses are well below those numbers just because we just didn't have the request for in-person. But we do have in-person at all of our campuses now. And I will tell you that with the limited number of kids that we have back, we're able to really keep kids spaced out and honoring the Austin Health guidelines. We'll be there for 25% for the next 2 weeks. So, and we haven't made a commitment for the 2 weeks after that. We're on a 4-week transitional waiver right now with the agency. And we have to transition towards allowing anybody who wants to come back to be able to come back. And then also at every grading period, every 9-week grading period, we will allow new folks to transition in as well. And you can go back and forth at those times. We ask that you try to maintain being in either virtual or in person for the entire 9-week grading period, because as you can imagine, trying to manage schedules and manage teachers that we're trying to limit their in-person and virtual crossover, that is very difficult as more and more kids come back. And then also as certain classes, which may only have one teacher that can teach them, is having to manage those classes both virtually and in person. So it's making quite the strain on our staff. And if you talk to any of them, I'm sure they will tell you how stressed and how worked they are. And they really are doing some amazing work. I can say that the work that you're seeing now in terms of instruction is markedly different and at much higher level from the spring semester. We will have outdoor activities, obviously masks. I know that is a contentious topic for many people about to wear a mask or not to wear a mask. We are requiring a mask of everyone, and that's to protect our workforce, because if a teacher gets exposed to COVID-19, then they're out for 14 days. And that means that the classroom can't have their in-person teacher in class. So we want to protect folks' health, but we also want to be able to keep offering the in-person. So we ask that folks wear personal protective equipment. You will also see that some of our teachers have pretty extensive equipment. We've got KN95s for our teachers that need those. We've got face shields. We've got the regular masks as well. And if students come to school and they don't have a mask, we have a mask to be able to provide them. Thanks to some of the agency purchases, we have PPE that were available. And then also the military was able to give us some from their stockpile as well. We are doing health screening. So actually in our building and the administration building and many of the others, we've been doing them since June. We use the Seton Ascension Health app. It's a great app, and it's actually improved over the time. They keep making upgrades to it with the latest information about what kind of questions to ask. And then we're also doing temperature checks with both our staff and our students. And we basically, on our phone, what we get when you walk in the building, after you've filled out the app, you get a little screen that has a check mark on it, gives you the time you screened, And we actually get an alert at the district level if we've got a staff member that's filled out a screening and they selected something, that's an alert to us. And then we have our health and safety folks reach out, find out what that is, and then clear that staff member. Interestingly enough, you saw some buses out on that video, that first video showed you. Transportation, we've had some worries about transportation and buses, obviously. How are you going to maintain that? Well, with only 25% and ridership down substantially, we're seeing very good spacing in our buses. Yesterday, I was over at Seal Middle School to watch their buses come in and see how all that activity went. I will tell you that the principal there had everything well organized. We had staff members out back to take temperatures as kids came off the bus. We have hand sanitizers on the bus as they get on and get off, masked. And I didn't see one bus that had more than 7 people pull up yesterday. So it's quite easy to maintain that social distancing in the buses at this point. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. In addition, we've got custodial staff doing cleaning of our restrooms, our cafeteria, those touch points throughout the day. We've got some BioProtect that we're using for treating the surfaces, but in addition to that, we're using alcohol-based cleaners, and we are also using a number of sprayers to get those surfaces as quickly as possible. And we've added a bunch of custodial staff so that we can augment what's going on in our buildings. As a matter of fact, we added about 25 additional custodians, and we're using our bus drivers in the middle of the day to help with cleaning at some of those more intense times to augment that staff as well. So, and then of course, this is something that just everybody needs to be aware of. We're not allowing non-essential visitors. And so we want to protect that bubble that our kids are in when they come to school. And so we don't have outside folks coming in, and I'm sorry to say that we can't allow at this point parents coming in to have lunch with their children or breakfast. And it's just a protective measure that we want to keep in place for our kiddos. In terms of classrooms, again, we have our students and staff being temperature checked when they come into the building. So. Then, of course, we will be following Austin Health guidelines in the Texas Department of State Health Services for any closures. We actually will have a dashboard that goes up later on this week. I think it's actually Monday when we report to the state. It's every week after we have a full week of in-person. That following week, we report all of our data to the state, and they put it on their dashboard, and we will have a dashboard ourselves that are broken down by campuses and also district as a whole, and that will show positive cases, lab confirmed cases of COVID, and then also anyone that we sent home, any numbers of people that we sent home for close contact. And we're pretty rigid on the close contact rules, and we'll be sending folks home for those 14 days, just as required by Austin Health and the Texas Department of Health and Safety. So, next, just wanted to show you a little bit of what's going on in our buildings, and I've got a little video for you. Hopefully this one will work as good as the last one did. So let's try that. It's embedded video. So this is a little bit about what our custodians are doing in the building. Well, as you can see, I'm not as skilled with Prezi and videos at the same time. So let me get back to our protocols here. So in addition to that, we have, as you saw in the video, we're hitting all the touch points, and that's what is recommended with the CDC. And we have the extra custodians on staff during the day so that we can hit those touch points, the water fountains, the things like that. I've got a video with water fountain use, but we've actually stopped using the water fountains for anything but water bottle filling, so that we don't have the potential of sharing germs there. You also saw that we're treating it with a protective product that we have too. It said 90 days. It says to use every 90 days, but we're actually using it every 30 days. And that's just an extra protectant we're doing. We're also using our regular cleaning supplies that are CDC alcohol-based things, just like our sanitizer, our hand sanitizers that are in the district that meet the CDC's requirements for COVID-19. So just a real quick, just to show you, we've obviously got hand washing videos that we put out, and we've got these out for social media as well, and then our bus protocols that they're doing as we go in. But I didn't want to show you all the videos, but I just wanted to kind of give you a peek at what's going on. If you get a chance, check out our wearing mask video that we have, how to properly wear a mask. Very cute young man who did the video for us, and he did an awesome job doing his ABCs while he's washing his hands as well. He was on that one as well. So next, I just wanted to show you a little bit of what's going in terms of the bond. So while all of this is going on with COVID-19, we also have bond projects going on as well. Back just a couple years ago, we had $332 million approved for a combination of things, some construction of some facilities, some renovations, and then of course, transportation and technology. We also use it to upgrade some playground equipment, some safety features that we put in the campuses as well. And then we had some athletic and fine arts renovations as well. So just a quick picture for y'all to show you. Let me get this a little bit bigger. Sorry about that. A little picture of what our new elementary school looks like. This one's being constructed over by Weiss High School on that property there. As a matter of fact, you can see two buildings going up over there. The middle school is also going up there. We are actually over 90% complete on the steel now, and we have, we're actually getting it to the point where we're going to get walls going up here pretty quickly. And it's looking like everything's going really well. And we are on timeline to get this thing open for the 2021-22 school year. So next school year, our elementary number 22 will be ready to go. We've already started working on the different designs for how the attendance zones will work. And so we have a group of staff members trying to come up with some options there, and then we will be bringing those to the board probably by the end of this year or the first of next year for transition going forward. So in addition to that, we have middle school number 7 as part of a bond project going up, and you'll see the CMU brick being put up, a masonry wall. I went by there yesterday, and it looks like it's getting close to being done, and that is around the core of the cafeteria and that section. There's also steel being erected as well. And it looks like most of the driveways are close to being done as well. So on that same site, in addition to middle school 7 and elementary number 22, we also have the ag facility for Weiss High School that's closer to the front of the of Weiss Lane. And that site's been prepared already. And we have, that one will go up a little bit later on, but it will be done for the next school year as well. We have a track and field that will be going up a little bit closer to the road. You'll see it. They've already got the ground prepped and a lot of the underground work done as well. And then of course, we have a number of other projects going on. We got some upgrades with our athletic facilities. Weight rooms were upgraded. You can see there Conley's equipment there, logos and everything. And then we had a number of the playgrounds addressed. And we have even more playgrounds even outside the bond that we're working on with some new surfaces that'll be more efficient for us to take care of. And then you see the buses sitting there. We bought an entire fleet, and last year we actually launched our own bus fleet for the beginning of the year, and they did an awesome job, and our on-time arrivals went into the high 90%, and we were very pleased with them, and we're so thankful to have them as part of our staff members. You'll also see some bollards, some stonework going out in front. We've got a number of safety procedures that are going in as part of some of the state plans that they have for safe and secure schools. Some new fencing going in as well. And then some of you may have noticed that we've got some electronic marquees that are out there. That's actually not a bond project, but it's something that we've been doing to update the marquees in our schools, our existing schools that didn't get those as part of their original design. And it's interesting, we're doing it in-house. So we looked at the cost for taking it outside, and we used the talents of our own maintenance and operations folks to build the marquee stands. And then we had the electronics fitted in, and our technology department made sure they worked, and they're up and running at several of our campuses already. And we'll have more to go because the folks saved us so much money in the way that they designed and created them, and that we were able to not outsource them and do them in-house. We'll be continuing that project to bring everybody up to those same specs. For those of you who drive by Parkcrest, you'll see that our stadium over there is being modified. We are retrofitting it. Several of them are getting some field work, and we are going to start upgrading the tracks so that kids can practice and run on those tracks with UIL competition tracks for the middle school level, and some upgraded lighting that's more efficient, more cost effective for us. And many of those schools are at the end of their life cycle for some of those equipment pieces, and so we're starting to make some of those changes as well. You'll see some folks on top of buildings. Those are part of our roofing updates and our maintenance that we're doing on those, and we're having a lot of those preventative things going on this summer as well. So one of the things that did help us out with the situation we're under is we got a little bit of a head start on some of those projects that would normally be summer projects. One of the other things that we're very important to our district is finance and making good use of the public dollars. So we have a history in the district of doing refundings and trying to get the most effective and efficient rates that we can for the bonds that we have for the buildings. That's basically our mortgages for our buildings. And so with the lower interest rates, we found some bonds that were actually ripe for being able to be turned over and getting a lower rate for us and saving some money for the district and the taxpayers. So we were able to refund about $52 million of bonds in a taxable refunding. We also maintained our AA+ rating, so that also gets us in good for folks wanting to buy our bonds. And we were on one of our bonds, our last purchases, we were 5 times oversubscribed for the number of bonds we had there. So that gives us a bargaining position when we go out to the market to get a better interest rate when more people want our bonds, and that's because of that superior rating we've been able to maintain in the district. We were also able, on another bond refunding, to be able to get 7 times oversubscribed. So that means that we negotiate on those points and get that interest rate down even lower than what their initial offer was. And then that savings for our present value was $7.9 million. So great work for our finance department and our board for authorizing all that. And then we were also able to do fees, which is pay off early, $25 million worth of debt, which is a commitment the district's had for a while to try to bring that debt down. And it also helps with our rating and get those better interest rates. So just in terms of some other things going on in the district as well, we've just had some fantastic things this last week with many of the things that we've been doing. I was over at Row Lane on yesterday for the first day of school, and it was exciting to see the kids coming back. But what was really impressive was the staff plans and how they greeted the students at the door. The principal was there to share, hey, get your hand sanitizer and out and use that. And then they walked in, they got their temperature checked. We had dots on the ground to keep the distance. And so just some amazing work from our staff, not only in the educational realm, but also in the safety realm in the district. So, and then I would be remiss if I didn't thank Tamara and her staff for the communications efforts that we have. And actually, we have a number of ways to get in contact with us. These are just a few of them. And we have a new way of getting in contact with us that some of our surrounding districts, we have a Let's Talk piece to our website now where you can go on and ask a question. And instead of having to find an email to the right person, it gets routed to people that can answer those questions. We've been inundated right now with technology questions, obviously, because we have a number of Chromebooks and we have a number of laptops that are out to kids. So technology and getting online and things like that, those are big challenges for us as well that we've had. And so Let's Talk has been our big piece for people getting contact there. And then we have a number of other ways to do that. I would share with you as well that we are really working hard to try to manage what's going on with our safety and security and stay in touch. I'm on calls every week with Austin Public Health, and Dr. Escott's personally on the call and shares exactly what's going on with the UT model for what's going on in cases in the Travis County area, gives us advice for that. We're following that with all of our procedures, even in our UIL procedures for athletics. Some of you may have noticed our lights on in our stadiums. We have had practice going on for some time now. Actually, we had our strength and conditioning camps over the summer, and we were following our potting where we had about 10 kids in a group and a coach that stayed with them, and that was to protect the athletes and be able to manage contacts. And we were all getting ready for athletic season, and we've got volleyball and cross country going. And it looks like we'll be able to play football and some of the other volleyball games, but there'll be a lot of restrictions on us. I can tell you that talking to Dr. Escott, the one thing that he's most nervous about is crowds, and those crowds in the stands are really concerned for him. So we may be in the position of only allowing parents to the games, but we have a contract now to be able to stream our football games from the stadium. And we're looking at being able to stream other athletic events as well. And it'll be probably more restrictive in the internal athletic activities like volleyball and basketball, where it's not as open air and not as easy to dissipate our concerns that Austin Health has. Just a few other things that I just share with you as well. While we have that projection for 26,500, we are monitoring our finances, and we are a little bit concerned about the number of kids that have shown back up. We know that our pre-Ks and our kinder kids and our parents are concerned about that. And so that is a little bit lower enrollment than we were expecting. So we will probably have to adjust our staffing patterns as we go through the year. That doesn't mean that we're going to be in a situation where we're doing a reduction in force or anything like that. But we will just, as we have vacancies throughout the year, we will look a little bit harder on, is that a position we need to refill? Or is that a position that we can move somebody over and then eliminate a different position in the district, just to be smart about our finances, especially going into a legislative session where we're worried a little bit about state funding and where that might land in the future. We are working on a third site for school. We have another elementary school still waiting in the wings, and we are getting close to another site. And as soon as we purchase that site, we'll begin moving on that one. And that one would be for an opening in 2022. So not next year with the elementary and the middle school, that would be the year after that for an opening. In the meantime, we will be starting up some additions that are also in the bond package, additions to Delco and Dessau elementary schools, and that'll add a few more classrooms to those campuses. Those campuses are a little bit smaller than our regular campuses. And we also finished our connection to Windermere Primary and Windermere Elementary School with a brand new library and meeting rooms that are just beautiful over there, and some additional restroom set. And they did a remarkable job over there. And that was actually done using primarily the bond savings from the last bond that we did. So I think I've shared a lot of stuff here, but I want to be able to leave time for questions, because I'm sure there are a lot of questions out there for me. So Chantel, do we have anything in the chat there?
Yes, let me look for you real quick. I believe we have one question that has popped up. Has anything changed with athletics allowing homeschool kids to play?
No, there's actually not any move with athletics and UIL for allowing homeschool kids to play. It's interesting, every few years that comes up, and it doesn't seem like there's really much movement on it. Part of the UIL system is to ensure fairness in with districts in play and not being able to recruit. And I think the difficulty with the homeschool question always comes around recruiting, and how do you ensure that there's no recruiting going on. And we are an open enrollment school. And so someone from Round Rock, Hutto, Austin could homeschool there and then attempt to try to come into the school. And it would be difficult not to say that it was for, athletic purposes. And so, interestingly enough, and then I see Dan in the in one of the chats talking about Seedling. We have a great partnership with the Seedling Foundation, and they actually provide mentoring to our children that have incarcerated parents. It's been a wonderful partnership to have mentors for our kids in our district, and they've continued to continue that partnership, even though now they are virtually mentoring kids as well. So that's outstanding, and we really appreciate them for that. So, see, Jim McDonald said, with Tesla landing in the area, are you considering electric vehicles in the future fleet expansion? Jim, you've asked that question of me before with buses. Yes, if we ever get a cost-effective alternative for our bus fleet, yes, we would definitely consider that. I know that Tesla's been using electric vehicles for some of their fleet in some of their areas. We'd be very interested in that, especially if the state gives us a grant to do that. We're all in for that kind of stuff. I see another question from, let's see here. Focus on training, online teaching, health and safety protocols. What has been the impact on staff regarding their development opportunities, topics? You know what? It's changed so much. We had teacher trainings that you could go out to, and now a lot of that's virtual. And we have a lot of things online now. And while I do appreciate the online environment, that we're still being able to maintain some of that, I do think that that has been a very big challenge for us to keep those professional development and learning opportunities out there for our staff members. But a lot of our organizations, our statewide organizations, are providing virtual opportunities. And we are doing a lot of our staff development. Actually, most of our staff development is virtual now, because we want to keep our staff contact down as much as possible. So we are virtual for a lot of that. And then we're doing lots of videos and safety procedures and trainings that way. Do you see any other questions out there?
No, nothing else has popped up. Oh, wait, well, I just said that. Hang on.
Oh.
Are best practices used with input from other schools throughout Texas? So how are you using the input?
Actually, yes, because so we are, I'm in a number of groups. So every morning I'm in a breakfast meeting, which of course that's a virtual breakfast meeting now, with superintendents from the Williamson County and Travis County area, where we share what's going on in our schools, what we're seeing in terms of spread, practices that they have, what kinds of personal protective equipment they're seeing. It's very interesting though, the COVID-19 piece is very regional, right? The further away you get from the Metroplex, the discussion changes from having as much virtual and instruction as possible to as much in person as possible. So if you were to go out to Liberty Hill, for instance, probably 60% of their parents want their kids in school in person, while in our area, it's about 35%. So while we have a lot of sharing going on, there's a lot of regional and area differences in what our challenges are and what we're doing. So like in our area, asking people to wear a mask doesn't seem to be as big of an issue as in outlying areas where there's a lot of concern about coming to school and having to wear a mask all day long. So in addition to that, I'm also active with the Texas School Alliance, and we have a meeting with the commissioner. We had a meeting every Friday, and now that's just, it stopped for about a month, and now it started up again this Friday. So we get to ask him specific questions and get guidance from him, and also share concerns. Also on Thursdays, he has a call statewide that we get many of our questions answered. On Mondays, I meet with the Austin Health Authority and Travis County, and they share additional information. And then also on Wednesdays, I have another group of superintendents I meet with in the afternoons that's in the Travis County area, kind of the broader area, and we also go over things. And then we also have our regional groups, and I'm a member of I'm president of the Fast Growth Schools Coalition, and we have a once a month call where we go over issues that are just specifically to fast growth. So there's a lot of communication and sharing out there, but there's a lot of differences as well in the areas. And then in addition to that, we've got a number of our cabinet level staff and a number of other folks here at central office that are members of their own groups that are also sharing all of that as well. And then, yes, diversity and inclusion has been a hot topic, and we are looking at something this year. Actually, we're looking at some diversity training and some other outside group coming in and facilitating that. We're in the final stages of approving that. We also have a number of things in the works in HR where we're looking at potential HR officer that looks at diversity as a matter of course in our district. So, and then Ken asks, are we seeing any difference in requests from in-person attendance between Title I and other campuses? Good point. Yes, we are. Ken, when you're in a Title I campuses, at least the higher Title I campuses have less folks wanting to come in person. Even though those campuses tend to be the folks that are working and have to go to work and don't have the childcare opportunities that some of the more affluent areas of the district. So in the more affluent campuses, we're seeing that requests for going in person are outpacing what our capacity limits are at this point. Good point, Ken.
Dr. Killian, a couple of questions popped up at once, and I think you might have overlooked the one from AK.
Okay.
In the impact of virtual learning on the students assigned enrichment programs, which supported state testing.
You know, it's yet to be seen. We've done a little bit of testing right now to see what we're trying to look at the COVID slide, as it's being called now, what happened in the spring and where we are with that. We're actually going through our beginning of the year assessments right now to see how we're doing. From what I've heard from other districts as well, they're seeing a little bit of a slide there. And that's also part of this push to get some in-person opportunities out there too. Because what I'm hearing from parents is the virtual learning is a lot better than it was last year. However, there are different learning modalities and styles, obviously. And so, you know, if you're a child with ADD or maybe dyslexia, maybe this is not working as well in the virtual environment. And so we're trying to provide those opportunities for in-person as well for kids that need them, because not everyone is going to be successful in those environments. And we're also seeing the challenges at the lower grade levels, obviously trying to teach reading and manage a classroom of first graders is quite interesting, because the first week or two, you're spending a lot of time just getting people to mute and knowing how to use the system. Heck, haven't we all seen that in our adult learning? As a first grade teacher, I will tell you that managing a virtual classroom is got to be a huge challenge for our teachers as well. So yes, we are seeing that, and we're interested to see what state testing will look like in the spring semester. Right now, we still have state testing on the books. They have not decided not to do that. And so, and quite frankly, to be really blunt, I would like to see state testing at the end of the year. Would I like to see accountability for students at the end of the year on state testing? No. I would like to see our state testing used as the diagnostic that it should be used, so we can figure out what's going on, where our weaknesses are, and where we need to support our kids. And so that's kind of my perspective on state testing. Did you see another one on there that I missed?
No, I don't see another one. And I'm watching the time. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So I think we will probably go ahead and wrap that up then with questions.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Anything else? Anything else you want to add, Dr. Killian, before we?
No, I'm good. I just wanted to say to everybody out there, we really appreciate your patience with us. I know this has been a challenging time. It's certainly been a challenging time for me and in my career. So I've been in the business for 28 years now, and I can tell you I went through a hurricane while I was in the Houston School District. I've been through historic state cuts to education, and this one's one for the books. And every time we think we've got a good answer, somebody changes guidance, or somebody, as we were talking about before we got on, it seems like whatever decision we make, somebody is upset with that decision. No matter what you do, it does not make 100% of our folks happy, and we understand that, and we're trying our best. We're in a very difficult situation. So thank you to the community.
Yeah, one, thank you for being with us today. I know a lot of the businesses, listening to this today, I'm sure we can all relate to when you said earlier you had different, 26 different plans, that everybody goes into work one day thinking it's going to end one way, and you've gone through 10 different plans before 5 o'clock rolls around. And for most of us, before midnight rolls around. We're all working crazy hours right now and long hours. So, we appreciate you, sharing with us how y'all are having to pivot as well. And we just want to say thank you. You've got so much on your plate right now. So we really do appreciate you joining us today to update us on, PFISD and just everything that's going on with the pandemic, with the bond, everything. We really appreciate that. And a huge thank you also to your staff, your teachers, your custodians, administrators, the board, everything that you guys are doing to make a safe space for these kids, but also still having that virtual option for those that can't come in. You've got a lot to figure out, and we really appreciate what you're putting into it to make this happen for the kids. So thank you so much for being with us to go over
We
this.
really appreciate you too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And also thank you to PCDC for sponsoring. We appreciate that. And before we go real quick, we have this really great little thing on my phone that picks random winners. So we're going to pick some winners for some door prizes. We have a gift card to Brotherton's, and that is, oh, he's going to love this. Y'all aren't going to believe it's random. It's Dennis Spencer. That's like, I think he lives there. So that one was pretty well planned there. Let me pick and then the next one, we're going to do a gift card to Cafe One. And that is Robert Rodriguez. So I will get in touch with you guys after this program to hand off those gift cards and get that to you. So thank you all again for joining us and spending your lunch hour with us. Thank you to PCDC for sponsoring. And thank you so much again, Dr. Killian, for being here with us. We really appreciate everything y'all are doing. So thank you guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you at our next event.
Thank you all.